Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Plan B Success. I got a question for you. Have you failed enough? Have you experienced failure? If yes, how many times, how long, and how consistently have you experienced it? That's the question. Now, think about it. One of the things that we have always heard, a familiar old saying goes, failure is the stepping stone to success. How many of you have heard that? I'm sure many of you have. And it's a common saying. We keep hearing it again and again. Anytime somebody fails, that's what they're told. Hey, it's a stepping stone to success. Eventually you'll succeed. The question is, when is that eventuality going to happen? How many times have you asked yourself that? How many times have you thought of that whenever the concept or whenever the topic of failure has come in? Everyone fears failure, yet it is an integral part of our lives. Everything can be a bed of roses. We all know that. There's a bunch of thorns as well that we will face from time to time. The best way to go in is to go prepared, knowing that you'll face these thorns and being ready to take action when you face these thorns. I understand that when you actually do face failures, you feel some sort of depression, some sort of a dejection, if not depression, but it's common. We all know we will fail. Everything that we plan and everything that we work on is not going to come out successful just because we planned and acted on it. There are certain external influences that have an impact on what we are trying to do, and they have an influence on the level of success or the level of failure of what we are set out to do as well. And it's important to understand that and embrace that as we set out on a task or on a project that we want to see succeed. So once you have taken this notion that you may face failures, that you are going to face failures to heart, and you're prepared for it, it becomes that much more easy to tackle failure. Not thinking about failure is in no way a step towards success. Embracing failure for what it is, being prepared for it, and taking action, working on something, and if something fails, then going down the path A, path B, whatever that path might be, in order to get to where you want to be, is being prepared for failure and being prepared for success as well. It also means that you might start off on one thing, you might have an end goal in vision, and you're working towards that vision, but where you end up finally, after tackling through all the obstacles in the path, might be different from what you perceived and had a vision for and began. And that's okay, because that's not what the world wanted for you, or that's not what the world wanted of what you were trying to do. The world had a totally different vision of what success meant than what you thought when you envisioned your success. And that's something that you need to be prepared for. Because if you're hard and fast in your thoughts and decide that this is what success means and I'm going to keep pushing until I get here, might not be a very wise thing to do because things morph, situations morph, external influences morph, and what the market demands might be totally different from what you're set out to do. And it's important to embrace these changes, make these tweaks as you move forward in your direction of succeeding, and then manage the obstacles that come in the way, that come in the path as you set out to achieve it. As I said, everyone fears failure, yet it's an integral part of our lives, be it our personal lives or professional lives. And failure gives way to frustration, despair, doubt, and so many other emotions, more from the perception the world around has of it than from the actual failure itself. What I mean by that is there's a lot of external influences, and we determine the level of failure based on these external influences. It's the perception of the world about what you're doing. It's the perception of the world in terms of whether something is successful because something happened or it's not because it did not happen. That's what influences our take. It tints our vision in terms of how we look at failure or successful ourselves. Now, failure is not something to fear or abhor. Failure teaches us very important lessons in life, and it's important to understand that and embrace failure and try to glean those lessons from the situation that we are in when we have failed. Lessons around what does not work, what not to do, and also who to truly trust and partner with when we are set out to do something. You do not come out of a failure with nothing. If you think you failed and you're coming out with nothing, that's a mistake. You actually come out with a lot of valuable lessons with every failure. And these lessons are really invaluable in terms of where they can be applied, especially on the next attempt, and take you closer to your goal of success. And what that means is you need to embrace the fact that with every failure, there are lessons that you're going to partake. There are lessons that you're going to partake and apply on the next situation. It's important not to repeat the same mistakes again, but also to understand that it takes you one step closer to success. In order to succeed, it is not a must to fail at every step. You don't have to fail at every step in order to be successful. You can jump through several steps without failing as well. And you need to make sure that you understand you do not need to fail at every step of the way before you reach your final goal. Lessons from failure do not necessarily need to be your own either. What that means is you don't have to experience failure. You don't have to make sure that you have failed and learned from it and moved on in order to be successful. You need to be able to cut short your journey towards success by looking at others who have done things in the same realm. What kind of failures did they face? How did they tackle it? Learn from their failures, learn from their mistakes. Look at what did they learn and apply the next time they did it out. And if you collect all these lessons and you're smart enough to distill them and apply in your own situation, you'll find your shortcuts where you don't have to go through as many failures in order to reach your success. You can also learn from others' experiences, as I said, and this will keep you on the fast track to success. So, when faced with failure, it's crucial first to not give up, as well as not to worry and get anxious. Two things that you have to be really cognizant of. Tell yourself not to give up, don't get dejected just because you failed. The only people that are successful are the ones that failed several times and did not give up until they finally became successful. It's just a matter of patience. It's just a matter of going on and on and on. That's the secret of getting to success. So, perseverance plays a really, really crucial role when you're out to achieve something. And also, it's important not to worry and get anxious. By getting anxious, by worrying, what you're doing is you're actually limiting your faculties of creativity, of imagination, and you're also limiting your strength of persevering and moving ahead. So tell yourself not to worry, don't get anxious, just learn from the failure and keep moving on towards your path of success. What is important is to stay calm. Make sure you're really calm when you fail. Don't just get anxious, don't get worked up. Remain stable and have a coherent thought process to analyze your failure. Think about it. What did you do wrong? Where did you go wrong? What is this failure teaching you? What should you not repeat again so that you don't make the same mistake? These are the things that you try to glean from failure. Get really down to the nitty gritty of understanding what you did, what worked, and what did not work. That's how you analyze a failure. Be candid with yourself. That's how you analyze your failures, you capture your lessons, and you apply them on the next attempt to move closer towards success. So learn from these mistakes, take lessons from these experiences as to what to do, what not to do, and how to alter that path to achieve success. Now, taking risks is very vital in a competitive environment, especially in today's environment and today's times that we live in, where competition is all around us and things change so drastically, so dramatically, and so quickly around us. Also, there's another saying that I want to talk about here: no pain, no gain. You probably heard of it. Unless you're ready to suffer the pain, you're not going to be enjoy the gain from what you set out to do. So, in order to grow and excel in your personal and professional lives, there's a need to take calculated risks. You can't always play it safe. If you think that just by playing it safe, you're going to have a glorious life, you're mistaken. You're going to be bored out of your mind before long. Make sure that you take calculated risks. Have the appetite to work through these calculated risks and carry on the excitement that if you do win, what's there in store for you? If you do lose, what's there to lose? And how do you take control of that? Those are the things that you need to do with any calculated risks. Else, stagnancy breeds in, and one tends to lose the zest for living. If you don't take risks, that's what happens. Another important prerogative of growth and excellence is innovation. creativity. And again, in order to innovate, one needs to be open to taking risks and facing failures. Well, when we again come back to the topic of failures, we also need to understand that not all failures are worthy. What I mean by that is that there are some that can be just termed as foolish and probably should not have happened at all. Then there are those that are intelligent failures, those that occurred in spite of prior planning and execution per a plan that you stuck to. Now, these intelligent failures occur early enough in the process and provide new insights for you to alter the course of what you're trying to do and continue towards your path of success. Failures are truly variable when they have a lesson to convey, are not repeated after the lesson is learned, and take you closer to success. Once you have faced failures, you are a much more valuable professional and a better human being because you've learned what failures are all about. You've learned through the experience, you've learned what patience is all about, and you've learned how to extract lessons and apply them for your own good. Plan your work and ensure you work your plan. Do not fear failure. If it crosses path with you, analyze it, learn from it, and apply these lessons to change the course and continue towards success until you achieve it without giving up. Once you succeed, let me tell you, no failure, no number of failures, no matter how large it is, none of them matter at all. I hope you liked what you listened. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you leave a review on iTunes, and do spread the word so others may benefit as well. Thank you.